I'm not saying I'm some type of visionary or some type of innovator. I am not the leader of a revolution, but I've taken all I can take and I ain't gonna take no more. I got rid of my deep, dirty tank, sand, cat, Wallstead, not Dr. Norton, Father Fish. I got rid of all that. I'm done with it. And I'm going with bare bottoms, baby. That's right, I said it. I'm bare bottom right now. Back when I first started doing YouTube, right? I had a 90-gallon all angel aquarium. I had a slate bottom, pretty much considered a bare bottom. It was just slate at the bottom. Very minimal plants, but I did have a small bundle of plants with some DIY decoration in it. And I gotta be honest with you, it was my favorite, least problematic tank I've ever had. Over the last couple of years or so, I've been influenced to go another route. I've been influenced to do substrate. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of benefits to having substrate and heavily planted aquariums, but that's not where my heart lies. I blame Lou from Father Fish for being so damn charismatic. I'm more of a minimalist. You know what I'm saying? Keep it simple, stupid. Now, from doing substrated planted tanks, doing dirted tanks, and doing bare bottom tanks, I found a fusion that I think a lot of people will benefit from, even more so from having planet tanks, depending on what type of fish you have. I'm not saying get rid of your dirt. I'm not saying get rid of your aqua soil, whatever the case may be. What I'm saying is just give it a little thought. This might be what you're looking for. Let's get into the why. What was the big decision? What changed my mind about everything? Well, some of you might know that I'm going into a business. It's a rough start. Let me tell you, it's not going smoothly thus far. But that's because I want to do it right. Yeah, I could throw it together, but I also want room to grow. Now, I do have aquariums in the back that I have set aside for the business of selling fish online. Be on the lookout for that. But I always want to think ahead, possibilities on what happens if things start going well. Hopefully, what am I going to do? Am I going to set up more tanks, or do I use the tanks that I have existing in and incorporate them into the business? One of the things I would have to do would be to get rid of all the substrate that I had in the tank. So that's one reason why I changed. But the biggest reason is because it's not my style. It's not my style. I don't want to say somebody guilted me, and although I have seen people get pressured into doing these tanks, and I have seen people, in my opinion, have these dirted, non-filtered, non-electric, non tanks. I mean, if it wasn't it's just don't got nothing to it. It's just a box of water with dirt and plants and fish. And there's a lot to be said about that. But I do believe that there's a lot of people that kind of just go with the flow because that's what's hot right now. Again, Lou, So this whole business venture is a good reason for me to go back to my roots, go back to the cool, chill, modern vibe of fish keeping that I was wanting when I first started my YouTube channel. There are 3 huge pros to having a bare bottom aquarium. First, cleanup. One thing I've always disliked, give me a sec, I need something to drink, I'm parched. You know it's good when you go after it. It's iced tea mix, but it's real thick, so it's sugary. It's more like sugar water with a hint of iced tea in it. I love it, man. I love it. One of the biggest problems I've seen, and one of the biggest complaints people have about having substrated tanks, having heavily planted substrated tanks, is ideally, if you follow the all natural method, it's a mess. It's there's mold at the bottom, there's there's detritus, there's all kinds of stuff at the bottom, which a lot of these naturalist fish keepers will say is a benefit, and they are right, but you can do without it and still get the same effect. So cleanliness, just visually looking at it, the cleanliness, the bare bottoms is easy to keep clean. The algae, a lot of times you'll have algae that grows right there at that line where the substrate meets the water, and it starts getting algae on the glass. It's also unsightly. People don't like the looks of it. You don't have that problem. Getting it hard to reach places with the algae scraper. A lot of times the plants are pushed right up, or there's so much going on in the tank as far as planting, and you can't really move anything out the way to get all the nooks and crannies to have all your glass spotless and algae free. I don't have that issue anymore. If you're like me and a lot of other fish keepers, you change up your ideas or things that you can do with your aquarium every month, just about. And there's only two options. One is to totally tear your tank apart to change it to something else that you've thought of, a different look, or put up another tank. Of course, I'd love to put up more tanks, but realistically, that's not in the cards for me. So if I do any changes, I got to change with the aquariums that I have, whether it be changing out fish, changing out plants, changing out decor. If I want to change anything, this method of keeping aquariums makes it real easy. Let's say you have a fish that having a dominant issue. A lot of people would change the decorations around. But yeah, I don't have a problem. I could change the decorations around. I could switch it from tank to tank like that. But if you have a planted tank, how are you going to uproot a plant, put another side of the tank without it having issues with melt and all that stuff, which a lot of plants have issues with? I don't have that problem. I can change my aquariums because my plants, I have two types of plants. One is a plant in a jar that's rooted, so I can have still that essence of nature, seeing the gravel in the plants, gravel inside the jar with the plants. Or you can do glue the rhizome type plants to rocks or driftwood, which I've also done. So if I feel like a particular plant looks better with a particular style driftwood, I can just switch them back and forth, no problem. If I have a fish that I need to act like it's in a totally different environment, I could just switch decorations around, or switch plants, or switch driftwoods, or switch jars, and not cause a huge mess. And I can do it in a minute, less than a minute, no issues whatsoever, quick and easy. I can't say the other. I used to say one, but it's socially unacceptable now. What is it? Lemon squeezy now. It's quick and easy lemon squeezy. Used to be something else, but you can't say that no more. I don't know why. I don't really think it's a racial slur. It don't matter. Whatever. The third reason why having these type of tanks, in my opinion, is they're highly customizable to the fish that you want to keep. For instance, if you have a fish that you want to keep, let's say it's an African cichlid, and it takes a lot of it takes harder water, you could always put coral type rocks in there, or calcium infused rock, the rocks that raise your pH. You can put that in there, take it out, no problem. You can put in driftwood and remove driftwood, no problem. You can do that from tank to tank to tank and not have an issue. Let's say you're trying to breed fish. Like, I got one tank set aside just for breeding angelfish. Well, I went ahead and did the bare bottom because sometimes it's a lot easier to breed angelfish in a tank that doesn't have gravel and all kinds of stuff all around it. Let's say you're trying to catch a fish. Guess what? It's so much easier to catch these fish if you take out the decorations and you can just scoop them right up. So they don't have to hide underneath rocks. You don't have to tear up the tank. There's an argument about cory cats and over which type of sand and what substrate's best for them, because apparently as they swimming across the bottom of the sand or the gravel or whatever, they mess up their barbels, their little thingy things that hang from their Fu Manchus. Well, on slick glass, that's not an issue. The fish finding the food, not an issue. There's just so many ways that a bare bottom tank is beneficial. Now, I'm saying that, but I'm also saying at the beginning of this video, I also said that my experience of dealing with plants in the past, you can merge the scenarios. For instance, how do you have a bare bottom planted aquarium like I got? And I say planted because I'm using the rhizome plants on driftwood, and I'm using jars or glass containers of some sort to put gravel with the plants. But that's not quite enough to have the biological filtration on there. I'm talking about the plant, stay right there. I'm talking about the stuff that eats up all these. So you need a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna do another video on how I filter my aquarium, the tricks that I use that I can have the same biological filtration that a planted substrated tank can have. I can have that same benefit in my bare bottom tank, and you're gonna have to watch that video. I'm gonna be doing it soon. Hopefully it's not gonna take as long as this video from the last video, but there is tricks to getting this done to where you have the best of both worlds like I do. And watch out for that video because it's gonna be coming. I appreciate your time. These are some other videos that I think you really like. These are videos of my nano tanks before. Subscribe so you can see where my nano tanks are going next.